Hive. I am going to take this lovely 99p work thing that I got from Bernardo's and correct its gaping design flaw, which is lack of usable pockets. Now, I would normally, because I prefer the shape, wear something like this with a belt, because it gives you something to put your bleep on. Okay, so completely functional, almost professional looking work dress, but nowhere to put anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some side seam pockets below the waistline, so you can wear it with or without a belt, and put some side seam pockets in here and on this side that are deep enough to carry your bleep, your phone, a notebook, some pens, or whatever else, emergency chewing gum, whatever else you might need for a day at work. Okay, when I've done that, I might, depends, take the waist in and actually cut it in half and put a waistband on as well, but I haven't decided yet. But we'll do the pockets first. Right, so the first thing you need to do is work out where you need to open the side seams to put the pockets in. Now, I've put the dress on inside out, obviously the front's still at the front, and I'm going to wear it with a belt, so I've put the belt on. If you're not going to wear it with a belt, if you were just going to wear it as an A-line dress, then just take a piece of string and tie it around where your natural waist sits so that you can measure from your natural waist down the side seam. So I'm going to measure from the bottom of my, from the bottom of the belt down 3 inches, okay? So 3 inches, and I've made a cut into the side seam at 3 inches. You could also mark it with a biro or a pen. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side, so 3 inches down on the other hip, onto the front side seam. It's got a panel in the side, front side seam, make a notch. So this is the front panel of the dress. It's got a centre front seam, it's got 2 side seams. This dress happens to have a side panel because of the shape, and we're going to insert the pockets between the front panel and the front side seam. Okay, so that's there. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you need to make your pocket pattern piece. So this is an A4 sheet of paper. Okay, can you see that? And essentially you need to be able to fit your hand in it and then draw around. So you've got a straight edge that's going to go into the side seam and then round, so at least big enough to fit your hand in. Okay. I can draw those up, and you can download them and cut them out if you don't want to make your own, but you can essentially make the pocket any size you want. Okay, and we're going to cut that out, and that's going to be our pattern piece. Okay, so having cut out your pocket piece, you then need to cut 4 pieces of material. Now you can use anything you like. Cotton is easy to handle, lining fabric is fine, so I've got some odds and ends of some material that I've got left over from making something else, and I've cut 4 pocket pieces. Okay, so this will be right front pocket, and these ones will make the left front pocket. Okay, there we go. So left front pocket and right front pocket. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to put the pockets into the dress. So we've got the dress inside out. This is the front of the dress. And we've gone down the front side seam to where we made that mark earlier. Stitch ripper. We need to take out the seam, and on this dress, the overlocking to open up that seam. And you need to open up enough of the seam to be able to insert the pocket. So you need to do at least that much, and then it's easier to take out probably another couple of inches underneath the bottom of the pocket and a couple of inches over the top, so that you've got a nice run in and out on either side. Okay, so you now should have a big hole in the side seam of your dress, and I've turned the dress right side out, so it's now the right way out, and I'm going to insert the pocket pieces. So right sides together, you simply pin the pocket from the notch that you made or the mark that you made with a biro along the side seam. Okay, and I'm going to pin those together. Okay, so you should now have something that looks like this. So this is the front of the dress, so this is front pocket, right sides together, so the right side of the pocket to the right side of the dress along the opening that you've made in your side seam, starting at the little mark that you made here. So I've made a cut, but you could have made a biro mark here, sorry. And then on the other half of the side seam, where you've opened the side seam up, this is the back edge of the pocket, and that's pinned from the mark all the way down the other side of the side seam. Okay, so that's what you should have at this point. Okay, so I've cranked up my sewing machine and I'm going to use a pretty standard straight stitch with auto tension, nothing particularly exciting. And the first thing I'm going to do is stitch the straight edge of my pocket, so pocket to side seam, and I'm going to stitch it with a 3/8 of an inch seam. And the reason I'm going to do that is that when I actually stitch it all together, I'm going to use a normal 5/8 seam allowance. That means that the inside of the pocket will sit slightly inside, so you shouldn't see your pocket lining from the outside of the dress. Okay, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance is that the edge of the material should line up with the outside of the presser foot. Okay, so I'm just going to put a straight seam on all of on the front and on the side seams. So when you're setting up to sew your pocket in, it should look something like this. Okay, so this is the original seam. And you can see here where I've unpicked the original seam. So I've gone an inch or so back because I'm going to stitch over this original seam, down the original seam line until here, and then pivot, and then round the pocket, round the pocket, round the pocket, all the way around until hit here, and then back down the original seam line. Okay. Okay, so we're halfway around, so you can see I've used white so it's easier to see. Started up on the seam line, down the original seam line, straight down into the pocket, so overlapping by about 5/8 of an inch there, and then pivot, so a turn and then round the pocket using a 5/8 seam allowance. Okay, so I'm now all the way around the pocket and back onto the skirt, and you can see the needles in the fabric, so I'm going to lift the presser foot, turn the material, okay, so the needle's in the fabric so that I'm lined up again with the original seam line for the side seam of the dress. Put the presser foot down, and then I'm just going to come down hard to do this one-handed, down the original side seam of the dress. Once I get down a little bit into where I'd unpicked, I'm going to back stitch, which on my machine is this one here, and that's just to reinforce particularly where I've unpicked. And that should be about it, so let's see how it looks. Okay, so pocket stitched in, so I've only done the one, I've done the left hand pocket, so here we go, and there you can see the side seam of the dress. Apart from now, it's got a useful and absolutely huge pocket. Okay, so that's what it would look like if you didn't wear a belt. So that's just how the dress was designed. You can see I haven't done the other side yet, but they look pretty much the same. If I've just found a random belt, so bear with me. So you put a belt on, okay, again, pocket, and in terms of how big the pocket is, here we go. So this is Samsung 6, so it's fairly big. In there, a couple of pens, in there, in there. And that's just the one side. Put one on the other side, you can run, doesn't fall out, doesn't fly. Sorted. Okay, so here we are, 20 minutes later. It has actually taken me longer to edit the video than it has to do the dress. That's the pocket I've already shown you. Now I've got a matching pocket on the other side. So, yep. So let's see how this looks. So with your pockets in, this hasn't been pressed because I'm not very good at ironing, but there's your pockets. So you can pretty much see that the side seams are straight down, openings there and there. So that's that would be the dress without a belt. I'm going to put my belt on and we'll see how much random stuff we can get in. Okay, so starting to look ready for a ward round. Okay, so spare pair of glasses, you never know when those will be useful. A couple of pens, phone, Brufen. I've got some an excellent team, and there we go, good to go. Obviously I wouldn't actually carry that. I'll take them out. There you go. Spare glasses. Hook them over the edge. There you go. And that's one. Happily filled pocketfuls of loveliness. 99p, 50p in oddments, 20 minutes. Sorted.